All right, I'm gonna start it. All right, so hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Next Level Podcast. You got me, Connor Jackson, along with Darren Harmon. How you doing, Darren?
Good. How are you, Connor?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, in the off season, you're gonna have to come up with some stuff, and we've come up with a top 10 quarterback of all time list. And should be an interesting list. I think this is gonna be a lot of debate. I think we all know who's gonna be at number one, but 2 through 10, I think you can make an argument for every single spot. So I'm curious to see what Darren thinks. Go with your 10th pick, Darren.
So number 10, I will start with John Elway. He's my number 10 pick. I don't think I could have put him. He needed to be on this list. He deserves to be on this list, but I don't think I could justify putting him any higher. 2 Super Bowls, which obviously propels him into this list. Winning a Super Bowl at age 37, appearing in 5 Super Bowls is pretty good as well. 9-time Pro Bowl, won an Super Bowl MVP at 37. So I think those two Super Bowls really propel him into this list at number 10 for me.
Yeah, see, for me, Elway's higher. I thought 5 Super Bowl appearances and just everything he did over the course of his career. I thought he was such a great quarterback. So I will have him definitely higher than number 10. My 10th guy is Brett Favre. He when he came out of the league, he ended up setting a lot of records. It's been broken since Drew Brees and Tom Brady broke them. But Favre won a Super Bowl in '96 with the Packers, and he had a great career. Just overall, definitely probably the greatest quarterback. Well, I don't know. Once Aaron Rodgers is done, we'll see what happens if he stays with the Packers. But as of now, Favre might be the greatest quarterback in Packers history.
And you're giving him number 10?
Yep.
Number 10.
I'm surprised you put Elway number 10. I have him higher. Do you
think
Favre should be
Favre should be higher?
You see, I think
that's a good spot. There's no way you don't put him. He has over 70,000 passing yards. He was the passing yards leader. I mean, obviously up until Manning, Brees, and Brady passed him, but I don't know, man.
He's got one
cool.
Super Bowl.
I know, and that's the same thing. We'll get to that a little bit later about the Super Bowls. I think that has a lot to do with these rankings. But I'll go to number 9. I have Captain America Roger Staubach at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
2 Super Bowl wins, Super Bowl MVP. Obviously, I think the reason I have him at number 9 and not any higher is because of the talent he played beside. He played with 15 Hall of Famers over the course of his career. He played 10 years. He got drafted, went to the military, came back without playing for 4 years, 2 Super Bowls. But like I said, the 15 Hall of Famers really, I think personally, takes off of his credit because a lot of these other guys played with a lot less talented teams and they did a lot more. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm going to give him number 9. What do you have for number 9?
I got Aaron Rodgers at number 9. I think he's arguably the most talented quarterback in history as far as just his crazy arm talent. Him and Mahomes, I think, are in another class as far as just to flick the ball so effortlessly. Like, it's not even like a normal throwing motion. And he only has 1 Super Bowl, but he's proven throughout his career that he's just a tremendous QB, and he's gotten a ton of great records, like 13-3 records with the Packers. He just hasn't been able to get it done consistently in the playoffs. And I think that Rodgers definitely belongs in this list. And I think that he will be best Packer quarterback over Brett Favre if he sticks around with them for a couple more years.
I'm gonna piggyback right off of that. I have Aaron Rodgers at number 8. I mean, I think that's a solid pick. Like you said, only 1 Super Bowl. If he has another Super Bowl in his resume, he's top 5. It's without a doubt. He's top 5. Like you said, his arm strength is absolutely ridiculous. And I think he's the most talented quarterback of the 2000s. I mean, you take Tom Brady, obviously great quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is more talented.
Brady's more like technique, fundamental type guy. Like, not that he doesn't have talent, but that's what makes him so great. Rodgers just has that natural ability.
Yeah, and you have Rodgers. I mean, he sat his first 3 seasons of his career behind Brett Favre. I mean, 10-time Pro Bowl, 4-time All-Pro. I mean, I'd say that's a pretty good reason to make this list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that those guys like Rodgers, Favre. I mean, if you're a Packer fan, back to back, that's crazy. You got two top 10 quarterbacks all time, back to back. I'm kind of jealous of that. And yeah, so number 8, I got Johnny Unitas. Johnny Unitas is a guy who he's older. I don't know a ton about him because I never watched him, but he was a really good quarterback pre-Super Bowl era, and he still won a Super Bowl with the Colts. And I really think that Unitas just showed that he was kind of like that steady force. And I know he was really respected back in like the 50s, or not did he play in the 50s? I know he definitely played in the 60s and then the 70s.
50, late 50s, yes.
Yeah. So he was just kind of that rock. And I really think that Unitas belongs in this list.
Unitas fell at number 11 for me in my rankings. I wish I could have put him on here. But I felt I have another older guy at number 7, so we'll get to that next. But yeah, I agree. Johnny Unitas was an icon back then, arguably the best quarterback of the 50s and 60s. I mean, there isn't much else to say. He was a true legend of the game. So number 7, I don't know if you remember this name, but I have Otto Graham from the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, so, I know a lot about Otto
Graham. Otto Graham,
like 50 NFL championships.
He played 10 seasons and he made the championship every single year. He has 7 wins. He won 7 out of 10. And I have it written down here. This is the stat that I think is the most important for his career. He was 105-17 in his career. He lost 17 games in 10 years. That is absolutely ridiculous. And this is before Jim Brown. This isn't even with Jim Brown. A lot of people get that confused, but that's crazy. He has the highest winning percentage as a quarterback of all time. 5-time Pro Bowl, 4-time All-Pro. Only played 10 seasons too, so I think that gives him a lot of credit. And I think he has to be on this list.
Yeah, see, like I originally had him on my list and I knocked him out just because I wanted to put like Favre in and Rodgers. And see, with Otto Graham, it's just the whole era thing. Like I wonder, he was obviously in his era tremendous, but say like he was just put in this era, how well would he do?
Right?
Because let's just face it, the guys weren't as talented. You could probably put like Mitchell Trubisky back in the 50s, and he might be Otto Grant. Like you don't know. That's right. What I was thinking of eras, and so I had him like just off my list at 11. It's just I had a hard time figuring out where he should be, and I felt like Rodgers and Favre I just know more about, and they're a lot more recent, so I put them ahead. I definitely understand putting Graham where you put him.
I agree. I mean, it's tough. I think it's tough for any list, any sport, anything you ever do to compare different eras. I mean, you talk about Michael Jordan to LeBron. It's nearly impossible to compare from eras, but I think that's the fun part about it. So many different opinions making these lists.
Yep. Okay, so number 7 for me is Roger Staubach. Guy you already talked about, really good. Won the Heisman. He went to Navy, right? You said Navy. He was a tremendous quarterback, won a couple of Super Bowls. You're right, he had a lot of talent around him, but I really feel like just watching old highlights of him, you could tell he was a talented dude. He made the team better. It wasn't just like other guys making him better. So I definitely think he belongs on the list, and he was just a great quarterback overall.
Yep, I agree. There was a point in time, I'm a big Cowboys fan, so I watched a lot of documentaries on Roger Staubach. There was a point in time when he didn't start. Craig Morton, I don't know if you know Craig Morton, he started over Roger Staubach. They flipped back and forth every game for Coach Landry. I just thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, Morton started that first Super Bowl, in 71 against, or 70? Was it 70? Yeah, 70.
The one they lost.
Yeah, against the Colts. So,
yeah,
I know about Morton.
You can go ahead with your number 6 pick.
Okay, so Dan Marino. I have him at number 6. He would be higher if he won a Super Bowl, but you can't deny his greatness. He's kind of like another one of those crazy talented, just chuck the ball deep to make every throw, but ultimately he didn't get it done when it came to getting the ring. Got to one Super Bowl when he was like really young. I think it was his second year in the league. And then he lost at Montana, and everybody was like, okay, he's probably going to make it to a bunch more. Never even made it to another one, despite doing a lot of good things. And I still think that he could have been like maybe 2 or 3, maybe even one if he just won a couple more Super Bowls, just because that's how great he was. But he ended up not doing that, so I'm putting him 6.
I agree. I had Dan Marino at my 6 as well. Like you said, I mean, exactly what you said. If he would have won a Super Bowl or two, he would be top 5, if not top 3. His arm talent, he was Aaron Rodgers basically before Aaron Rodgers. He did. The problem was he didn't have a lot of talent around him, and I mean, his top receivers, Mark Clayton and Mark Duper. I mean, you don't really remember them as top NFL receivers. You think about these top quarterbacks; they all had their number one guys, but Dan Marino didn't really have that guy to go to.
Yeah, and again, like I didn't watch Marino, but you hear the way that these guys talk about Marino, and it's clear that a lot of these NFL players and analysts that were around at that time have a ton of respect for him and what he did, despite not winning Super Bowl. So definitely belongs on this list. Number 5, I have John Elway. Elway was consistent throughout his career, got blown out in 3 Super Bowls earlier on, but then found a way to get back and winning back to back. So to me, that really solidified him as a tremendous QB. Did a lot of good things. We already talked about him, but he was just that consistent dude that really the Broncos look at as like their idol. And he definitely, in my opinion, belongs in the top 5.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good. Obviously, I had him at number 10, and but yeah, great quarterback. We had our 5 and 10 swap, so I have Brett Favre at my number 5. So I mean, we talked about Brett Favre earlier. I think he was a great quarterback. Obviously, only won one Super Bowl, which takes him down. And another statistic I wanted to piggyback on: he had 336 interceptions. He is the NFL leader in passing interceptions as from a quarterback. I just don't think. I mean, obviously he threw the ball out, but that's crazy compared to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers only threw 93 interceptions. That is a big difference, and I think if he didn't have all those turnovers, I think he'd be higher on the list. But I give him number 5. He was a great quarterback, 70,000 passing yards. I don't think you can deny how great he truly was.
Yep. So 4 for me is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is arguably the greatest regular season quarterback of all time. He very talented when he came to the league. Ever since he was even a kid, he was the number 1 prospect coming out of high school, number 1 pick coming out of college. Just consistently that guy that people look at and say, okay, it's an example for what a quarterback in the NFL should be all about. He was never really the strongest arm dude, but one of the smartest QBs ever to play. Always made those great audibles, line of scrimmage that everybody talked about. Always made some great accurate throws. Wasn't the best in the playoffs, but still found a way to win 2 Super Bowls. And not only did he do it for the Colts, but he ended up going to the Broncos and having a really good stint with them as well. So I think he's definitely up there among the elite of all time.
Yeah, I like the pick at 4 for you for Peyton Manning. I think like you said, one of the most impressive things is after he left Indianapolis and went to Denver and did it again as an older quarterback. It's quite impressive. Just like Tom Brady did, Peyton Manning did it. And my number 4, I have Drew Brees. Obviously undersized coming out of college. People didn't think he could do it. Kind of like Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. They didn't think they could handle it, but he sure handled it. 80,000 passing yards is absurd. He obviously has his Super Bowl win, his Super Bowl MVP. 13-time Pro Bowl is kind of crazy for a quarterback. And I just think he was a solid player. I mean, one franchise his whole career. I mean, yeah. I don't know what much more to say. He was a great quarterback. Definitely easily top 5, if not higher. I think if they would have built a little more talent around him, I think they could have done a lot more with him. Maybe another Super Bowl or 2.
Yeah, I actually have Brees at number 3. Brees, like you said, 80,000 passing yards is crazy. Won a Super Bowl, and He and Rogers kind of remind me, even though they're like two very different guys in the way they play, the way their career paths have gone. They won a Super Bowl earlier in their career, and then they just have kind of not gotten back. You know,
Yeah,
they had a ton of opportunities. They were on some good teams, and they made it to NFC title games. They just never were able to sneak into the Super Bowl and win it again. That's just kind of the story of Breeze and Rogers' career so far. Great QBs, putting up great numbers, but ultimately they haven't been able to get it done, which is a big deal. You know, winning the Super Bowl is, if you're a QB, that's like the thing you got to do. And
yeah,
Breeze, he's done it, but he could probably, honestly, if he won a couple more, he might even be over Montana. He might be making an argument
yeah.
for that because of the stats.
Yeah, the stats are easily there, and like you said, it's exactly like Aaron Rodgers. That Super Bowl they couldn't get back to. If they had him, they'd be a lot higher. So my number three, I have Joe Montana. Um, Arguably, he was the greatest quarterback of all time for a long time. Four Super Bowls, 4-0 in the Super Bowl. That's quite impressive. Um, he had a great team, though. I think that's what. So I have Montana at three, Manning at two. I put Montana at three because he had a great team. He had John Taylor. He had obviously Jerry Rice. Um, and I just think those two guys really propelled him. Not taking any credit away from him. I'm just giving Manning the edge over him. But I mean, still 4 Super Bowls is quite impressive, and I don't think there will be anyone to do that, go 4-0 in the Super Bowls ever again.
Yeah. I have Montana as number two because listen, Manning was good, but in my opinion, Montana did a little bit more. Again, kind of two different eras. And yeah, Montana had a great team around. And anytime you have the best receiver of all time on your team, makes it a little bit easier without a doubt. And that dynasty was just great. And you got to test a lot of that to Montana. He had a great coach as well. And again, 4 Super Bowls, great career.
Yeah, I think obviously I think that 2 through 4, obviously we had all the same guys just mixed up. I think those are really, I mean, obviously you have Tom Brady at number one, but those guys were the guys of their time, and their careers have been quite impressive. Obviously, all of them are going to be Hall of Famers. Everyone on this list will be, but and then obviously number one we have Tom Brady. Anything you'd like to say about Tom Brady, Connor?
I mean, I think his resume speaks for itself. You know, he has a better resume than basically every team in the league of all time. I mean, he has 7 Super Bowls. No team in the NFL has won 7 Super Bowls. You know, he's.
Yeah.
I remember I was listening to like a Steeler Nation radio thing, and they were talking about like because you get points for like certain achievements, like getting to the playoffs, winning conference titles, and stuff like that. And they do that from like the Super Bowl merger, like either the merger or when the Super Bowl era started. And they were ranking the teams, and Brady was ahead of like most, like just alone from when he came to the league. And I think that's so crazy. And just you have to really appreciate what he did. I mean, not only the Super Bowls, but he year in and year out was getting to the AFC title. He was not like even the years he didn't win the Super Bowl, he was still easily one of the best QBs. He's part of one of the best teams. Like him and Belichick were just. It's unfair that they were put together at the same point in time because they just dominated a league that's supposed to be competitive with a ton of parity, but they figured out a way to kind of get past that and just really steamroll some teams.
I think another thing you didn't mention about Brady that I personally appreciate is I think what he had Randy Moss for like 3 or 4 years, which obviously Randy Moss is very dominant. But other than that, he kind of created his. He didn't have that number one guy. He didn't have. I think his best receivers for the first couple. He had Deion Branch, Super Bowl MVP. Really, after that, didn't do anything in his career. Didn't do really anything before that. Obviously, solid receiver. You have Wes Welker, who kind of turned into the iconic slot receiver. You have Julian Edelman right behind that. Obviously, you have Gronkowski, best tight end of all time. But for the receivers, he kind of created his own. He really brought those receivers into his offense, and I don't know, gave them life as a team.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point. They didn't have a ton of great receivers in that era. It was all about Brady, and then everybody else was kind of like, do your job, do your thing, like do what you need to do, make sure you don't screw up. Like that's just kind of how Belichick ran that team. And Edelman, guy who was like a quarterback in college, I don't know, was even drafted. He might have gone undrafted, or if he was drafted.
I think it was like 6th round or something.
Yeah, I mean the only guy like iconic receiver that he had was Randy Moss, and then when you have Gronk, that makes things easier. But it's just crazy that offense was so good, and it's not like he had good defenses, but it's not like the team was like the '85 Bears where the defenses were doing everything.
Right.
It was clearly Brady, I think, was at the forefront of those teams. So I think he's just a special player. Probably never see another guy like him. Who knows? In 30 years, going to be talking about somebody else. Who knows? Maybe Mahomes. A lot of people think Mahomes could do something special, but he's had a shot the last couple of years to really put himself maybe on that pace to be like Brady, but he's kind of failed to do that so far.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. After we were done talking about Tom Brady, I think another point about Tom Brady is I don't think I can name, besides James White, a single running back who played with Tom Brady. I mean, they didn't. I feel like they never ran the ball. I can't even think of a running back.
Yeah, they had like Sonny Michel.
Yeah, he was there for a couple, and James White was there, but before that, I personally don't remember him. Yeah.
Trying to think some other dudes. Yeah, it's pretty much just like nobody's average, decent guys, maybe, but no stars. No.
And so I wanted to get just a little bit to close us out. Obviously, that was our list. Some honorable. I don't know if I didn't write any down. Just some honorable mentions. That didn't make the list. Obviously, I didn't have Johnny Unitas, and you didn't have Otto Graham. But were there any others that you were thinking of that didn't quite make it?
That's a question I didn't really think about any honorable mentions, but guys like Ben Roethlisberger, I think he had a tremendous career with the Steelers. He belongs in the top 15, without a doubt, in my opinion. Then other good QBs, trying to think. Probably some ones back before the Super Bowl era that I'm forgetting about that did really well. And just Joe Namath, good career.
Yeah.
Maybe put him top 15-ish.
I think a couple other, like you said, Ben Roethlisberger, I definitely have him in my top 15. Great career. I wouldn't say this is a personal bias. I'd have Troy Aikman in the top 15 just because of his Super Bowls.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, I'd probably put him there.
Obviously, he wasn't. I mean, obviously, he had insane talent around him. I'm trying to personally think of any others. You have obviously the early guys. You have like Sammy Baugh was a great quarterback icon, and Norm Van Brocklin as well. Obviously, they didn't have the statistics very well back then, but I think those guys were legends back in their day.
You can make a case for Eli Manning.
Huh?
You can make a case for Eli Manning.
Yeah. I think. I think Eli Manning will be. I think he'll be a Hall of Famer. No, obviously not first ballot, but I think he'll be a Hall of Famer. 2 Super Bowls, quite impressive. I think you can make a case for him in the top 15 as well. So we're on the topic of quarterbacks. Who do you think? Who do you think, if you were to name 5 guys, the 5 quarterbacks up and coming to be the best of this new era we're approaching, who are you taking for your top 5 quarterbacks?
Right now, that are not on the list, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and then probably a couple guys I'm forgetting about right now. Trevor Lawrence, I really like. He didn't play that great, but I know he has a ton of talent. And then I'm not completely sold on Justin Fields. I'm not saying he sucks, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough organization right now, though. As a team, I think they're kind of struggling. Yeah, pretty much. Obviously, you have Mahomes. Obviously, you have Josh Allen. I think Justin Herbert as well. I'm personally not putting Joe Burrow in that category yet. I think obviously you said the whole Marino thing. He made Super Bowl, didn't win, never made it back. I think we still need to see more from Joe Burrow. I like Lamar Jackson coming back from injury for the Ravens. I think they have a good team put together. Kind of a dynamic quarterback. And as my next guy, I have Kyler Murray. I have Kyler Murray coming back. Bad, rough end to the season, but I think he's very talented going forward. And he's going to be a top quarterback in the league for many years.
Yeah, and I forgot about Josh Allen, throwing him in there. Kyler
Yeah.
Murray, I don't know about Kyler Murray. He's just kind of that short guy that can run really fast, and he's just inconsistent with throwing the ball. He's really good when he wants to be, and then
Yeah.
just not the greatest. He looks good out there. I'll give him that, though. You can tell he has some talent. He's really athletic.
Yeah.
Just I don't know if I put him in there though. Matt Stafford could be on this list if he ends up doing really well, finish his career with the Rams, and maybe gets another Super Bowl or two.
Yeah, I'm a big Matthew Stafford guy. Obviously, I mean that's tough. Like being like Marino, you're on a bad team with the Lions. It's tough. I mean, it's a bad hand you draw, but I think he's made the most of it. And I think you're right. If he does do a couple more years, 3 more years with the Rams, does good, then I think he could be a top 15.
Yeah, so that was a good discussion. Next week, you go with talking about running backs, top 10 running backs all time.
Yeah, that's good with me.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you guys. Tune in next week. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
See you later.